Final Fantasy 15 is finally out, and thankfully it did not suffer the fate of, other long-awaited games like, Duke Nukem Forever, which was in development for 13 years. Final Fantasy 15 is sitting at 84% on Metacritic. It's got an 8.0 from users.
Which is pretty awesome, by the way, to see there's not a ton of discrepancies between those two numbers. If you look at something like Call of Duty, it's all over the place, right?
Yeah. So let's take a look at some of the reviews. My old alma mater, Destructoid, said, having only been available for 2 days, Square Enix announces that Final Fantasy 15 has shipped over 5 million copies worldwide in both physical and digital formats.
Yeah.
Already eclipses the halfway mark to the 10 million sales that Square Enix was hoping for. So it's doing well. This isn't the Final Fantasy.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Before we get into the critical reception thing, I think it's immensely important. It's really good to love games and to give them great reviews and play the hell out of them and tell all your friends about how great they are. But at the end of the day, this is a business. And if their projection is 10 million, and they sold 5 million in 24 hours, physically and digitally, it's pretty safe to say that they're well on their way to hitting their goal. This is going to be a long-tail game. This is going to be the kind of game that people are playing and talking about for a very, very long time. So that's kind of awesome. Like, this is not just a critical darling. This is going to make a lot of money as well.
So that's good, yeah. And then we get to wait another 15 years for Final Fantasy 16.
That's true.
But yeah, onto the my favorite gaming publication, Time Magazine.
Yeah.
The #1 gaming source.
Well, I actually threw this one in here because I think it's important to note that as video games are getting bigger, they're becoming unavoidable, and something like Final Fantasy 15, which has been around for all of time, no pun intended, gets a really big write-up in Time Magazine, which I think is huge,
Yeah.
So yeah, they have a lot of great quotes here. One of them is basically talking about how long it's been, but it's lively, focused, and fully realized. Something wonderful and probable must have happened towards the end of the topsy-turvy decade. It's taken Square Enix to finally produce a Final Fantasy worth crowing about. Thank director Hajime Tabata for somehow righting the ship. So that's been the sort of running theme about this, is like, it delivered. It's not like it's okay. People have found some sort of niggling little things that they don't like about it. Some people are beating it faster than they kind of expect.
Yeah.
I remember reading stories about people being like, "Oh, I finished it in like 25 hours or 40 hours." Go in and 100% it. You'll find more to uncover there. But yeah, this is delivering on all fronts. So let's take a look at some more. Polygon over here, they had some good things to say.
It hums with an energy and compassion that I loved, a sense of camaraderie, friendship, and adventure that fills an old and struggling formula with new relevance. That's really what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I want to find out who these dudes are. These guys in this car. I'm sure there's going to be like weird magic fights that are going to be big and epic and very JRPG-ish. But I'm excited about just like, I want that camaraderie.
Well, we don't really get a lot of like games that star sort of like 4 interchangeable protagonists that have that much of a difference in personality outside of like Ninja Turtles, right?
Yeah.
And even that's kind of hokey and funny and cartoony.
Yeah, and they don't have hair, but these guys in Final Fantasy
That's true.
have great hair. IGN.com, you know that website.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, there is so much good here, so much heart, especially in relationships between Noctis and his sworn brothers. Again, this is what I want. Like, people can go and talk my ear off about like battle systems and how much has changed, but it's like the fact that this is just that this has heart and this is like this is a game with soul is really nice for me.
Also, I want to point out like this thin line that these guys are walking on making this game. They've been really struggling for a very long time of bringing in both the hardcore generational Final Fantasy fans and the kind of like casual or even lapsed ones. Like, I know I played a lot in the Super Nintendo era and dabbled in some of the other ones after that.
Yeah.
But in terms of being like, I don't have the time for another like 70-hour RPG. But I'm seeing stuff about this one and I'm like, I'm gonna get back in there.
Yeah. US Gamer said, I was really skeptical that Final Fantasy 15 could ever be successful, but despite some real flaws, it ultimately won me over. I warmed to the characters over the course of my many camping trips. I like that there is camping. Found more than I was expecting in the open world and have enjoyed some bombastic set pieces.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That sounds like it's just a damn awesome adventure I want to go on.
Yeah. Games Radar says, even when it stumbles, Final Fantasy 15's ambitious open world, fast-paced combat and the humanity of its 4 leads make it a fascinating adventure to behold. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
This is great. Psycat says, fun game with great atmosphere and characters. 9 out of 10. It's at the same time not your classic Final Fantasy game, but still keeps a Final Fantasy feel to it.
Yeah, so this is like kind of pointing out that like the users are loving this too. Now, obviously, every user review section is bombarded with people being like, -4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
I was going to say, I don't read Psycat's website. I don't know who, I didn't
I think
realize that was
Psycat should launch a website because I think he writes
Wasn't
real
Psycat
well.
featured on the hit Sugar Ray song Fly?
That's true.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, LSR says, the most beautiful fictional world ever created for a game is here, striking characters. It is Return of King for RPGs. Something really interesting I want to point out is like, it has got to be so terrifying to have such a beloved franchise, and to be like, how do you modernize it? And how do you have to break some eggs, you have to kill some darlings, like you have to do stuff to change it and modernize it. But obviously, there's going to be pushback on that. One of the things that I loved about Metal Gear Solid 5 was that it pretty much scrapped the entire structure of how that game feels.
Yeah.
Like they were like, it's okay to get loud here. They were taking cues from, Far Cry and GTA, and it's like, it shows a certain amount of kind of humility for a massively successful IP to be like, I know that we're a beloved 35-year-old franchise, but maybe we should take some cues from more modern stuff.
Totally, and I think the interesting thing about Metal Gear is that the hardcore fans were more bummed about like the lack of the story stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of gameplay, people weren't too hard on that. I was actually way more open to it than ever before.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm excited about this Final Fantasy game.
I mean, I haven't played a Final Fantasy in I don't even know how long, so
Yep.
I'm excited to jump in this. By the Sheet says...
By the Sheet!
10, the game of 2016. For those who did not root for the game, I think it will be a masterpiece. Cool.